Hello everyone and welcome to BitTech Modding. This is the part 2 of Project Mirai. There's a couple of things I want to address before starting talking about today's progress regarding the suggestion you guys gave to me in the comments below, as well as explaining how I'm kind of approaching this new role in terms of editing, presenting and all that stuff. So last week's video was I get it was kind of boring, I'd say. Sure, it was a presentation video, so there wasn't much action like you already seen on this video. But I feel like the black backdrop and all that kind of setup isn't just made for videos in general, because it's a bit boring, as some of you said. Not necessarily about the backdrop, but the video in general. Also, as you know, my biggest barrier right now is the language, because I'm Italian and I'm trying to become more fluent shooting videos and talking English at the same time. That's why in the two previous videos I just made up kind of script and tried to read it basically and say those words, and it didn't feel right. I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel like I was improving in my fluency, because I just read what was there, and it didn't feel natural at all. So at least for the first period of time, I will just make up a schedule for the video in my mind and come up with things to say, the way I'm gonna say them and all that stuff. Obviously, editing will help me when I have a hard time explaining things. So yeah. About Mirai in particular, some of you said it was plain and boring and it wasn't particularly unique and stuff like that. I just want to say this is a client build. It was made for Corsair to showcase the case. Sorry about pun. I didn't have much time to work on this. Just for a reference, Project Ares took me more than 6 months. This took me a little less than 2 months. That was counting all the adapting of the case, the planning, the 3D modeling, which is still a struggle for me, and then making it, obviously. Ares is like the pinnacle of my modding in general. It's way over the league of this project. So not all projects will be like this. There will be much more ambitious projects coming. Also scratch builds, even if they're not super ambitious, they will be certainly more interesting than easy case mods. So hang in there, guys. This is just the first project. There will be more. There will be an Honda project right after this. So another Honda build, which a lot of you guys love. So be patient and let's check out this one for now. So as you saw from the first minutes of the video, I just showed the teardown of the case. I removed all the parts I didn't need, so all the internals and the back panel. There were a ton of rivets, obviously. Not a lot of cases are held together by screws. That's a shame, but it's a budget conscious choice. Those rivets were basically everywhere, back, sides, below. So there was some fiddling around to do to dismantle this case. But in the end, it was still pretty easy. You just need a power drill to drill out those rivets, and that's basically it. Just a bit of patience. The one thing that was very important to do in regards to modding the case, so not just the tear down and removal of unwanted pieces. Was getting the bottom, top and front walls, internal walls, to be as flat as possible. So I had to Dremel out basically all the parts that were bent inwards. So I just cut them off. So I was able to place and mount the three internal panels, which will serve as the new mounting points for all the custom parts. Now let's come to something you're very familiar with, so some CNC action. In this episode, the CNC action will involve the making of the internal panels, the first structural panels, the mounting brackets that I'll show you how are going to be used, and the back brackets as well. So this will be 5 and 8 millimeters aluminum. Let the B-roll roll. So as you saw, there were a lot of 8 millimeters brackets, like little rectangular blocks. Those will basically serve as kind of molding cubes you grow used to see on this channel from Alex. I would have loved to use those, but they're just a little too expensive for me. So I just stuck to milling my own mounting blocks. Those involve holes on both the surface and the edges of the blocks. So I will have to get to my drill press behind there and make some drilling on the edges, as well as some threading to do on these holes, because I don't have a thread mill on my CNC, and I wouldn't even be confident enough to use such a thin tool on my CNC because it's a chattery mess. Another thing I did on the three main structural panels and the two back brackets was brushing the aluminum and also countersink some holes, because they were going to be mounted flush on the case panels, the original panels. So I had to use countersunk screws in order to mount everything. To make fixing the back brackets a little more stealthy, instead of making and using mounting blocks like I did on the Torii gates, I decided I was going to drill holes on the edges of the bottom and top part of these brackets. That's why I chose to use 80mm aluminum to make this. In order to do that, though, my drill press behind there didn't have enough height clearance to be able to put this under the drill bit. So what I did was making a janky jig with my old drill press, which is a bit more modular in terms of bed and fixture, because it can be mounted vertically, and it has much more like adjustability to the bed as well as to the head of the press. Okay, that's about it for this episode. In the next episode you will see much more acrylic milling, because you will be seeing the making of the Torii gates as well as the motherboard tray. Obviously, as you can see, the Torii gates has all these aluminum details, so they will be covered as well. The motherboard tray has some aluminum too, and also some solutions for the cable management that I think you'll find quite interesting. As always, if you don't want to miss the next video, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and also reach us on our social media pages: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, builds.gg, Discord, and also check out our merchandise shop. All links down in the description. So thank you guys for watching, and see you next week.